Singapore has a reputation that intimidates many Western travelers before they even arrive. The city consistently ranks among the most expensive in the world, a place where luxury hotels gleam beside billion-dollar shopping malls and Michelin-starred restaurants crowd into every district. For visitors from the US, Europe, Australia, or Canada, this reputation carries weight. They imagine every night in Singapore costing more than a night in Paris, London, or New York. And for many, it feels like a destination reserved only for the wealthy. But here's the shocking truth: Singapore hides cheap hotels that don't actually feel cheap at all. In 2025, these stays deliver experiences that surprise even seasoned Western travelers. It begins the moment you land at Changi Airport, one of the most awarded airports in the world. You step into terminals filled with butterfly gardens, waterfalls, and art installations, and yet, everything runs with seamless efficiency. Western travelers are often stunned at how quickly they move through immigration. Compared to chaotic arrivals in other global hubs, this feels like a luxury welcome, even before you've reached your hotel. And this sets the tone for the entire trip. Singapore is polished, efficient, and stylish, but that doesn't mean you need to spend a fortune to experience it. The city is designed for accessibility. Hotels across neighborhoods like Bugis, Kampong Glam, Chinatown, and Little India cater to every budget, while still maintaining a level of cleanliness and reliability that Western travelers rarely expect at cheap price points. Take Bugis, for example. Westerners who stay here often describe it as the perfect combination of culture and convenience. On one street, you'll find colorful markets selling souvenirs, snacks, and electronics. On another, sleek boutique hotels with rooftop pools and co-working lounges open their doors to travelers who booked at rates half of what they'd expect back home. One Australian couple remembered checking into a Bugis hotel after paying less than they would for a budget chain in Sydney. They expected a cramped room with thin sheets, but instead found crisp linens, air conditioning, and even a rooftop bar. Kampong Glam, just next door, adds another dimension. It's Singapore's historic Malay Arab quarter, but today it mixes heritage with cutting-edge style. Western tourists love wandering down Haji Lane, where street art explodes across shop houses and cafes buzz with international chatter. And tucked into those same lanes are boutique hotels that charge modest rates while offering design that rivals boutique brands in Europe. Imagine paying less than a mid-range hotel in Berlin but waking up in a room that feels like a curated Instagram set, colorful tiles, minimalist furniture, and windows overlooking vibrant streets. For many Western visitors, this is where the shock sets in. Cheap in Singapore doesn't feel like cheap in other cities. Little India pushes the contrast even further. At first glance, the district can feel chaotic, filled with spice shops, sari stores, and streets glowing with Bollywood posters. But inside the shop houses are hidden boutique guest houses and budget hotels that surprise Western travelers with their charm. Murals cover the walls, rooftop terraces overlook temples, and breakfasts include hot parathas alongside fresh fruit. For visitors used to sterile budget chains in North America or Europe, these hotels feel alive. They're part of the neighborhood rather than walled off from it. And then comes Chinatown, perhaps the most surprising of all. Many Westerners expect capsule hotels here to feel cramped or basic, but Singapore redefines the concept. Instead of tiny boxes stacked like lockers, many capsule hotels in Chinatown are sleek, futuristic pods with glowing lights, privacy shades, and personal charging stations. For solo travelers from Canada or Europe, it feels like stepping into a sci-fi movie, but with comfort that rivals standard hotel rooms back home. Some Western guests describe these capsule stays as better than hostels in Europe or motels in the US, simply because of how much thought is put into design and technology. And yet, these are just the neighborhoods. Specific properties carry their own stories that Western tourists continue to share as shocking finds. One of those is Lift Bugis. More than just a hotel, it's a co-living space designed for younger travelers and digital nomads. Western visitors love its playful atmosphere, social events, and affordability compared to the skyscraper hotels of Marina Bay. Hotel Boss, by contrast, is massive, one of the largest hotels in Singapore with over 1,000 rooms. Its scale allows it to keep rates affordable, and Western travelers appreciate how easy it is to access the MRT right from the doorstep. And then there's the Carlton Hotel. It isn't what most people would call budget, but when compared to the staggering rates of Marina Bay Sands, Western guests are often stunned. Here, you can enjoy polished service, spacious rooms, and central location, at prices that feel like a bargain when measured against Western 5-star norms. What ties all these experiences together is the same revelation: Singapore's cheap hotels don't feel like compromises. they feel like smart choices. Western tourists often compare it to staying in boutique hotels in Europe. You might be paying half the price, but the service, design, and cleanliness still rival properties double the cost. This isn't by accident. Singapore maintains strict cleanliness standards and safety measures across the board. Even budget hotels are expected to deliver reliability, hygiene, and basic comfort that many Western travelers would not expect at such low prices. It's why so many return home with the same story: "I thought Singapore would be too expensive, but it wasn't." And in 2025, as travel costs continue to rise worldwide, Singapore's affordable side becomes even more important for Western visitors looking for value without giving up quality. Western travelers often arrive in Singapore expecting the worst for their wallets. They hear stories of $500 a night luxury towers and Michelin star restaurants where a single meal equals an entire week's budget. And yet, by the time their trip ends, many are telling a different story: that Singapore surprised them with value in places they least expected. One of the strongest examples is Chinatown's capsule hotels. For Western visitors, the word capsule often conjures images of cramped spaces in Tokyo or basic budget setups. But Singapore took the idea and reinvented it. Pods here come with soft bedding, adjustable lighting, privacy blinds, and built-in charging ports. Instead of feeling like a downgrade, they feel futuristic, like something you'd see in a sci-fi movie. And all for a fraction of what a standard hotel would cost in Europe or North America. A Canadian traveler once compared it to staying in a boutique hostel in Berlin, except cleaner, safer, and more stylish. A fraction of the cost, but a memorable experience in itself. For solo travelers or young professionals visiting from Australia, these capsule stays feel liberating. You're in the heart of Chinatown, surrounded by temples, night markets, and food stalls, all while spending less than you would at a roadside motel back home. The real magic lies in Singapore's balance. Even at budget levels, safety and cleanliness never seem to disappear. That's a shock to Westerners who have grown used to budget meaning risky. Little India adds another layer to this story. Here, vibrant temples rise beside fragrant spice stalls, and colorful murals cover walls in every direction. Western travelers who choose to stay here discover boutique guest houses that combine character with affordability. Imagine waking up to the smell of freshly baked naan, walking through streets alive with music, and returning to a room decorated with bright textiles and modern comforts, all for less than what you'd pay for a hostel bed in London. For Western audiences, the takeaway is powerful. In Singapore, budget doesn't mean sacrificing experience. In fact, it often enhances it. Clarke Quay, though better known for nightlife, hides mid-range hotels that also shock visitors with their value. Take Paradox Merchant Court. It offers riverside views, a pool, and service that feels 5-star. Yet, compared to the skyscraper icons of Marina Bay, the price is accessible even to budget-conscious travelers. Western tourists often describe it as one of the most underrated stays in Singapore. A place where you can enjoy a resort vibe without draining your entire budget in a single night. Hotel Boss tells another story. Its size, over 1,000 rooms, allows it to keep rates consistently lower than boutique competitors. Western guests might not find it glamorous, but they consistently praise its reliability. Clean rooms, MRT access right next door, and staff who keep everything running smoothly. It proves something important. In Singapore, budget doesn't have to mean roughing it. It can simply mean efficient. And then there's the Carlton Hotel. While not cheap compared to global budget standards, Western travelers often remark at how affordable it feels compared to Marina Bay Sands or Ritz-Carlton. For them, Carlton provides a rare middle ground, luxury service and central location without luxury pricing. It feels like a clever hack, an insider's choice rather than a tourist trap. What ties all these options together is the concept of value. Singapore delivers it in a way few other global cities manage. Western travelers used to compromise, giving up comfort, location, or safety to save money, don't find that trade-off here. Instead, they find hotels that combine affordability with atmosphere, location with convenience, and design with reliability. It's why reviews often use the same phrase: "It didn't feel cheap." One Australian traveler said it best: "It felt like we had beaten the system. We paid budget, but lived mid-range." And that's the secret that keeps surprising Western visitors. Singapore's affordable hotels aren't hidden because they're bad, they're hidden because the city's reputation as expensive overshadows them. When Western audiences finally discover them, they realize Singapore isn't just for luxury travelers. It's for anyone willing to look beyond Marina Bay's glowing towers. The reality is, Singapore's cheap hotels redefine the word cheap. They prove that affordable can still mean stylish, comfortable, and memorable. So as you plan your 2025 trip, don't write Singapore off as out of reach. Look into Bugis, Kampong Glam, Little India, Chinatown, and Clark Quay. Because in these neighborhoods, you'll find hotels that deliver more than a place to sleep. They deliver stories you'll carry home. And for Western travelers, that may be the most shocking find of all.